Hey everybody. Right. I was watching a video about mental health from Helping Hand and I got into a conversation with a couple of people in the comments and I suggested that I might do a video on how to do certain things. Right, okay, this is interesting. Right, I suffer from a condition, as I've mentioned in previous videos, Asperger syndrome, which is an autistic spectrum disorder. Now, we're classed as higher functioning autistics. Now, you may have Asperger's yourself, but we're not all the same. Some, if you want to put it in a sense of varying degrees, some of us have varying degrees of autism. Some are lower functioning autistics, some are higher functioning autistics. I am on the higher end of that scale. I was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome not that long ago, to be honest, but a year ago. And it was the only reason I was diagnosed is my partner pushed me to get the diagnosis because my middle child has Asperger syndrome. And we wanted to... The commonality, she doesn't live with me, my middle child, she lives with my ex-wife. Again, you've probably heard me mention her in another video, toxic exes in weird places. But I'm 34 years old, coming up 35 soon. And I noticed I wasn't like everybody else when I was probably about 8 or 9. I would imagine I hit puberty early. I finally realised girls weren't icky, about 9 years old. So all the rest of my classmates were nowhere near as developed as myself. Right, that's where I started to get all the puberty things. My voice started to change. I started to get taller. My muscle mass increased. Stuff like that. But it wasn't just the physical changes that I noticed that were happening at that age. It was more, I didn't feel like I was a member of the same species as them. Not only did I think differently about things than they did, I'm starting to look different to them. Right? And they're all short and chubby and I'm getting tall and leaner, and it's right, but my young mind at the time couldn't comprehend the changes that my body was going through. So, anyway, so I digress with the point I was initially making. I say about 9 or 10, I really noticed the psychological differences between myself and the other children of my age group, and older. Even some of I've always noticed that my teachers in school, they don't like when they're told they're wrong, especially when you can back that up. And when I was younger, my mother had a massive library of books, mostly Reader's Digest and stuff like that, and me being myself being an avid reader, I sort of went at it, I suppose, and I absorbed the information in those books. And one day the teacher was saying something, and I'm like, well, that's not right. Well, not according to this. That's how I got my first ever punishment exercise in detention. But anyway, again, I digress from the point. So even though I noticed the differences, I was coming into high school age, and everybody caught up with me far more slowly. But I sort of evened out, I suppose. So by the time I was 13, life was really in an upheaval for me. My parents split up, got divorced. I went off the rails. I was put into residential care, and that's where the difference was made for me. When I went into a children's home, that was a big one. That was a wake-up call and a shock to my system. And the first time ever I had proper guidance and rules and ideas about how I should do things. So, keeping this in mind, when I was about 14, I started to watch the other members of my classmates, people who are friends, because I was quite the loner. I had one person that I was quite communicative with, but I wasn't able to relate to the other people there. So, as I said, I started to watch how the other kids interacted with each other, and through doing that and study of body language books and basic national averages on blank rates and breathing patterns, I put together in my teenage years a sort of working model for how to assess conversations with people, whether they're getting bored with the conversation, whether they are finding what I'm saying offensive, or whether they're enjoying what I'm saying, or whether they would like me to maybe tone it down a bit. You can tell all these things through body language, because as I said, suffering from Asperger syndrome, I don't have an inherent ability to detect those things in other people, along with other sometimes hindrances, other times benefits. Certain situations, having Asperger syndrome has served me extremely well, especially because I find the silly things that people freak out about pointless and pedantic, and lots of other big words that I could use right now to describe the fact it's fucking nonsense, right? But I don't freak out in those moments, and that sense of calm that I project in times of tension seems to alleviate the rest of whatever group I'm in at the time. So unfortunately, because of that inherent calm that I have, because I really don't understand emotion, I really don't understand why people get upset with a lot of things, because I really don't understand feminists and social justice warriors with their whole view on feelings, because my personal feelings, if you want to call them that, are your feelings don't matter, right, when it comes down to facts and figures. And the real world is not a fucking very nice place. It is mean, it is brutal, it will beat you down, and it will keep you there if you let it, right? And your feelings mean nothing to the world itself. If you've get dealt a shit hand, I'm very sorry for that. Well, again, I lack empathy, so I can say that I'm sorry for that, but I really don't mean it. I could try. I just don't have that facility. I don't really feel remorse or guilt. It's just part of the way I've wired. But I have, as I said, found a working system to get onto that, and I'm going to get onto this now. So, I said I developed this when I was 14, and it's taken me the best part of 20 years to get it down to a fine art, I suppose. Now, the fine art of it is absolutely fine. Yay, brilliant, superb, great. The mega issue we have is if you're going to try and do this, you will make a lot of mistakes, and you will get it wrong many, many times, and you will offend and upset many, many people. But do not let that dishearten you or stop you from trying it out. So what we should do is, the very first thing I want you to do, and this is going to sound so strange, but pause this video and go into your bathroom or anywhere that there's a mirror. Because trust me, this is how I started to figure things out. The basics first, right? And I know it may sound pedantic, and I know it may sound, to anybody who hasn't doesn't have an autistic spectrum disorder or Asperger's in particular, and they may not even experience it to the same degree as other Asperger sufferers, right? But this is going to sound what's the word I'm looking for? Patronizing. But please, if you have problems interacting socially with people because you have problems gauging in how they are reacting to you, you need to try and do this, even though it may sound childish and pedantic. It will help, trust me. And I mean, I figured this out years ago, but it's taken me 20 years to get this right. Now, I'm now teaching my middle daughter, who has Asperger's, as I said, these techniques. And see, the more you try them and the more you use them, the easier and quicker you will get it. And because mine was all trial and error, I'm going to hopefully take out the error part for you to a degree and give you more trial. So you can actually use this, and use it with your family first, with your friends, people you know. So then you can be exactly spot on with your assessments of their reactions to you, right? So as I said, go to the mirror. And pause this if you want. Right, okay, we're at the mirror. Right, brilliant. Now, look at the mirror, right, and study the shape of your face. Now, everybody's got a different shaped face, and this is where the key. Everybody's eyes are shaped different. Everybody's mouth curves differently. Everybody's even noses and nostrils flare a different way when they talk. With the way they form words, the way they enunciate, the way their vocal pattern rises and falls while they're speaking. These are all things that you can assess when you look at yourself and talk to yourself in a mirror. And again, it's going to sound really strange, but you need to watch how your face responds to what I'm going to ask you to think about. Right. The very first one, the very, very, very first one that I find is the most helpful is sadness. Now, there's varying degrees of sadness. Now, if you suffer from autistic spectrum disorder, you may have what my ex-wife liked to call a magpie syndrome. We see things, we think they're amazing, we want it. Now, I have learned to suppress this annoyance, right? So, but I'm getting to a point here. Now, at one time in your life, you have experienced loss. Yes? Now, this loss, regardless of how insignificant to other people, you feel it so greatly, and you're annoyed with yourself that you have allowed this loss to happen. Now, it could be anything from a lucky coin to a favourite book, or myself in particular. I gave up the love of my life, smoking, a while ago and moved on to vaping. And I was out at work and my vape came out of my back pocket and I ran over it with one of the tools of my job and it was obliterated because it was made out of carbon fibre. Now, I moped about for the rest of that day at work to the point of my supervisor was like, what the hell is wrong with you? And I explained, and he was like, but what's the problem? And I'm like, well, it costs £50, which is my money. Which, when you're not well off, but you're a worker, right, and you have a family to support, £50 is a lot of money to spend on what is basically a luxury. So anyway, I'm digressing, sorry. Think of the thing that you have lost that has really, really, really stuck in your head. And think of that thing and how it made you feel at that time. And look at yourself in the mirror and see the shape that your face makes, the curve of the mouth, the shape of the eyes, your eyebrows, the forehead, cheeks, the way they puff out, the way the nostrils, the look on your face. Memorize that. Now, this will be easier doing it with yourself than trying it with a family member who has similar features to you. So you can recognize it easier in them. Right? So the first one is look at sadness. Okay? The next one, again, is going to sound really, really childish and really pedantic, but happiness. Think of the time when you first got the best birthday present you've ever got. Think of that moment that you opened it and that look and feeling of joy, because we feel joy. We don't know how to express ourselves, we don't know how to communicate inherently with others, but we feel joy, we feel happiness, we feel sadness, we feel anger. Well, most of the time with me it's frustration, but we feel all these things. Now, look at yourself again and see the way your mouth curves up to the degree, whether it's one side that turns up, both sides, it doesn't matter. Everybody's musculature features, even though the features differ, they work the same way. I mean, mechanics is mechanics, biology is biology. Even though they differ, even though they vastly differ in shapes and sizes, the muscles move in roughly the same way. Now, this is more difficult with the elderly, because their skin isn't as tight round their mouths, they've got wrinkles. That changes the flow of the shape of their mouth. It's stuff like that. You will get easy. That gets a lot easier. Just be really nice and a little bit of self-deprecation in there, and elderly will love you. Trust me, it works every time. But anyway, so look at the smile on your face. Look at the way it's shaped. Look at that, right? Okay. These are the basic things. Now do this with all the range of emotions. Anger. Think about something that really gets you angry, and look at this. Look at the way your face, your eyebrows pull in, they knit at the middle above your bridge of your nose. Your bridge of your nose creases. Your mouth, the muscles in your mouth and your lips become tight and slim, or sometimes you may bare some teeth, because I growl I'm a growler. That's me when I'm angry, when I start to get annoyed. So you get a little bit of teeth and gritting teeth and right. That's my thing. But I say everybody's different, and everybody, even with similar, people can have similar physical structure, facial features, all that, but their mannerisms, their idioms, they're all entirely different. Right, so assess your own, then assess your family members, especially siblings. Siblings, especially same gender siblings, much easier if you have similar features that way. But any member of your family, mother, father, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, grandparent, all those things. If you have family, if you're lucky enough to have a family, children, if you're old enough to have a family and children, you'll start to realise that the little things that used to annoy you are insignificant. But anyway, I'm digressing again. They'll look at their faces, right, and they'll be able to tell if they can be honest with them. Say, I'm trying to learn people's facial features and the way they respond to things now. That's the very, 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 very simple and basic ones. It gets a lot more complicated as you go into it. And I've got a lot of trial and error involved in it, so I'm hopefully going to help you have minimal error and maximum effort, and even more maximum effort, maximum effectiveness in your ability to almost diagnose how the person feels, and so you can at least relate to that person and see that they're getting upset or they're starting to get annoyed with you or starting to get bored with the conversation. Anyway, so what we do is, once you've got the basic recognition of facial features down, it's moving on to searching what your national average for blink rate is. And I know this is going to sound so geeky, right? Now, in Britain where I am, it varies, but I've sort of worked it out to myself with people I know in my group as, what's the word? How do I word this? Yeah, about a blink every 3 seconds is generally the normal baseline rate for blink patterns, along with breathing. Usually the breath in with the shoulders rise. As the shoulders rise, the blink happens in between that. You look at that, but this is really complicated to explain. I thought it was going to be easy to bugger. Right, right. Okay, so you have blink rate, you have breathing, you have the shoulder positions, the arm positions, body posture. You have all these things to consider. Now, it's a lot easier than you think, and it sounds really, really complicated, but it's really not. What I recommend doing is downloading a book on body language. Really big help. I downloaded that maybe 6-7 years ago, and in those 6-7 years it's improved greatly. I mean, it's just went in leaps and bounds. But that's the basics on it. So you go to the mirror, you practice all the expressions, think of things that make you feel the emotion that you're wanting to look at and to see. And once you've done that, it's probably it will be difficult at first. So don't just look in the mirror a few times and then go out and speak to people. Don't do that. You're going to set yourself up for a fall. And trust me, falling's not fun, especially when you get it wrong. But 9 times out of 10, I'm generally right on how I'm assessing people's situations. And when people ask me about certain things and I give them a blank expression about it, and they look at me going, "Why are you giving me that look?" I'm like, "I apologise. I didn't quite understand what you mean. I have Asperger syndrome, and I didn't understand the underlying meaning of what you meant. So I'm trying to figure out what you mean." And most people go, "I would never have thought you had any kind of autistic tendency at all," because, as I said, after 20 years of doing it, I'm quite bloody good at it now. So we start off with the basics of looking in the mirror, and then you research. I mean, use the brain that you have, because we are very clever naturally. We're logical people. All people who suffer from all autism are organised, logical. We have we believe reason and rationality over irrational nonsense and meandering and catering to whims of of unnecessary pointlessness. Lots of words, I know. Right? I'm extremely logical. I'm very black and white with my opinions. It's either right or it's wrong, and a lot of people with autism have that problem as well. We're very to the point, clear and concise, and we don't mean to be offensive. We're just blunt, because we haven't got a filter that dictates how we should word things for people in the way we say them. But okay, so knowing how to diagnose a person's features to how they're feeling and their body language to how they're feeling is part of it. That's the first part. The second part is your own vocal responses to people, the way you say things. And it's going to be like policing yourself for the first 6 months you do this. You could probably give it a time scale of less. People with autism have varying degrees of intelligence. Some very high, some on the lower end of the intelligence scale. It's just lower functioning autistics. By myself, I am no claim to be a genius. I have got a degree in applied sciences, and I am an engineer to trade. So I like building things. I'm very hands-on. I'm very mechanically minded. I like making things that are a necessity. Like people who have walking sticks, I made a clip for their belt that just locks in, so they can go to the checkouts and they don't have to hook their walking stick over their arm. They can attach it to their hip. Very simple, but it's something that was convenient. And I made it for a friend who has a walking stick and who's getting 2 walking sticks soon. So I made one for either side, so they can have one either side. But they need one to balance on, so they've only got the one at the moment. And I'll make another one for them shortly. But anyway, I'm digressing. It's your own policing your own responses. I'm sorry, I ramble, and that is another problem with having Asperger's. It's knowing when to shut up. Right, okay, so we went over the very basics of looking at the facial features, but then it comes to you yourself. So how you say things. So when you're talking to, like say, as I said before, elderly, pleasant tone. Don't be too. Be a bit light-hearted when you're talking to people. Actually, this works for just about everyone, unless they are. You can tell by the look in their face that they're not in a good mood, and then you move into empathetic mode, which you recognise that they're sad or angry, and you change your tone. You bring it down slightly. You soften your eyes. You soften the way your mouth sits, and you say, and try not to sound too patronising. We say, "What's wrong? Just what happened?" Listen to the way I say it. What happened? You're not saying anything like "what happened." No, it's "what happened." A light tone, a very easy tone, and people who are angry will see that you're concerned about them with that, and they will hopefully either calm down. And sad people may take a bit of solace in the fact that you are seeing that they're sad and you're wanting to talk about it with them. Personal experience, I really don't want to talk about it, but for the sake of keeping up appearances, we cater to them. So anyway, you're going to hear me have my vape because I have been rambling on for 20 odd minutes, and I'm going to have a mouthful of something to parch my dry mouth. One moment. There we go. There, fantastic. Okay, so not only is it policing your own voice and the way you say things, because 9 times out of 10, if you were like me, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And when you come across to somebody completely wrong and they take you entirely the wrong way, as I said, it's going to feel like policing yourself for the first wee while. But see, once you do it for a while, it becomes almost autopilot, second nature to you. Right? Now, not only that, let's start something with just as simple as meeting someone for the first time now. For most of us, that is a really daunting experience. But if you use basic features, your own vocal patterns, the way their body moves, their blinking for the average rate for a relaxed person of your area. There's all these baseline stats online, you'll find them all, and they are a veritable wealth of really good information. It's not just for the nerds and the scientists, it will help us too, and I know it may seem long-winded, but just find out what your national average is for the area you're in, and then test it out on people when you talk. When you talk to them, see how many times they blink. Just try it with your family, see if it's right, see if it's wrong. I estimate with the people that I know, one blink every 3 to 3.5 seconds, depending on the person. Some people blink more, some people blink less. People that blink less are a pain, but when they get angry or upset, they blink a lot more, and it's really very easy to tell. The people who blink a lot, using the blink method isn't as easy because they blink a lot, but you use their breathing pattern and all that. But see, even the handshake of a person is a telltale sign whether they're pleased to meet you or not. Now, when I shake hands with someone, my index finger, as my hand goes in to shake their hand, my index finger travels up to their wrist, and I take their pulse. And if they're genuinely okay meeting you, or they're nervous, their pulse will be quite quick. Now, you find again what the average pulse rate is. I haven't worked out what the beats per minute is. I count a minute and see, well, you can, when you normally take blood pulse, you count a minute over a minute. So what you have that in all 3.5 seconds. Now, if you can't take your own pulse when you're relaxed and work that down. So if it's any more, for me, if it's any more than a beat a second, they're nervous or slightly, this is just for people, this is my own one, they're slightly nervous if it's any more than a beat per second. So it's like boom, 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 that's fine. But it's boom, boom, boom. You can probably be sure they're either slightly nervous or they are impatient or something like that. But see, you would use the facial features to figure out what they're actually feeling there. So the heart rate's the first diagnosis. There's something, they're either happy, relaxed, calm, or they are agitated or nervous or frustrated or sad or angry. But the sadness, I haven't really shaken anybody's hand who's sad. It's usually been hugs and a hand on the shoulder. So I've never really had enough time to make a formula, or an educated guess it, or a formulated guess or analysis of what it is. So I'll have to, trying to explain that to someone is, I think that's what you're doing, but never mind, we're getting off topic. So we have the facial features, your own vocal patterns, the way you say things. I find a lot of self-deprecating humour works with everyone, right? For example, right now, I use my own personal circumstances to make people laugh. Now, I don't generally get why it's funny, right? But apparently I'm quite funny. I don't generally see why, right? Apparently I can be quite funny. But my general go-to, I have a few pre-programmed set responses to things that I've worked out over the years. I know something like that's worked previously, so I'll just use a modified version of that, but still, this doesn't work all the time, so it's like having a script, but then you have to throw out the script. So, where was I? See that? Losing track of myself. Right, funny, right? So, I use my personal experience with my ex-wife as a bit of humour to break tension with someone else if the circumstance arises. Now, what I say is, I find we've got onto the topic of marriage and relationships, and you find out the other person's on their second relationship like I am, and I go, yeah, do you not find the second relationship's really great? And they go, yeah, it is really that. Well, I found out why. And the person goes, oh really, why's that? I said, yeah, see everything I did the first time? Yeah, don't do that. And that generally gets a laugh, or a titter, or a response. Brilliant, okay. And that does it. Stuff like that, people tend to warm up to you, but don't go like, I'm an asshole, all that stuff. No, just tiny little nuggets of self-deprecating humour in amongst your conversation. If it's that kind of conversation, and it's a light-hearted, good conversation, you can use self-deprecating humour. And first meeting people, don't just go straight in with deprecate. Wait till you've been around them for at least 15 minutes first, I would say. Right, so we do that, and then we go back to the normal conversation once we've done a little bit of self-deprecating humour. Right, but that doesn't work in every circumstance. Sometimes, like say in an argument, I have a real hard time understanding other people's points of view, especially the way it makes them feel. Because as I say, fuck feelings, right? Makes it really difficult when you have women in your life, as being a man. Because my partner isn't very emotional. Well, no, that's a lie, she is. And my daughter's a drama queen, my youngest daughter. My middle daughter's quite like me, doesn't get the drama, and my oldest is a boy, so he does boy drama. Boy drama is interesting too, but nowhere near as bad as girl drama. But anyway, like, when somebody's upset, you can take cues off of other people in the room. This helps you navigate in. Let's say there's 5 people in the room and you're part of a larger conversation. A 6th person joins the table, right? And you haven't said much by this point, but other people in the room have noticed that that person's sad about something. Now you recognise that other people have noticed that they're sad. You take their cue. So if they go, oh, what's happened, and start to make motions like rubbing back and empathetic and sympathetic moves with their body. When you get a book of body language, you'll understand what I mean by that, because it takes too long. You know, this video will be fucking forever if I try to explain that to you. Right, so take cues of other people around about you, because I do this with my daughter and my wife, my partner, all the time. My youngest daughter's throwing a massive wobbler about some insignificant little thing, and my partner will go up and say, what's the matter, honey? And then I will take that cue and use the same tone and inflection that she's using in, well, my own baritone voice, I suppose. It's baritone. The more annoyed I get and the more travel into something and the more excited I get, the higher my pitch goes. Which is probably just because of the fact I'm a Scotsman. You know, the Scottish accent is an old saying, it can go from 0 to bastard in less than a second. Right. The more angry I get, the higher the pitch goes. But if you ever heard Billy Connolly or any Scottish comedian go off on a rant, you'll understand what I mean. If you can actually understand what they say. Some of the accents are quite strong. Hopefully mine's isn't too bad and everybody can reasonably understand me. And if you can't and you want me to clarify, please leave a message in the comments and I will respond to you as soon as I can. Now, anyway, back to the point. So if you use the techniques we've discussed right now, and I say it is really pandering and really patronising and really feels childish to do this, but please believe me, if you've never done anything like this before and you're still struggling to interact with people of any genre, age group, social circumstances, if you're having trouble with interacting with people and you're still quite socially isolated, because I am by nature a hermit. I don't like the outside world. My home is my fortress of solitude. Well, as soon as my front door shuts, I can drop the shell of the persona of the human, the normal person, the neurotypical thinker, and you can become yourself and you breathe a sigh of relief and I'm home, right? Once you've got it down and once you've practiced these things, and honestly I do mean go and get the book, right? And go get a book, just download it. Don't care if you do it legally or illegally. Torrent. I don't know if you want to do it that way. Get a VPN scrambler just to make sure. A VPN, yep. But anyway, get one of these books and just read it. And I know it may seem really childish, but if you're struggling with these social things, which I really did for a long time, and I'll say I really got it wrong up until I was in my mid-20s. But now it's quite easy, but it is tiring. If you ever heard somebody say, I'm faking opinions and it's exhausting, right? That's what it is the whole time, because you're constantly working, but it does get easy, but it does get tiring, especially if you have to do it all day. Now I'm quite lucky, I only have to interact with people 5, 6, 7 times a day with my job. It's quite nice, but the people I interact with, they know me now, so they know what I'm like, and it's quite good that way. So please don't be disheartened by failure. Trust me, you need to fail in order to move forward. You need to realise what it's like to get it really fucking wrong before you start getting it right. And trust me, I have been slapped in the face a few times. Really lucky I don't have a glass jaw. Another part about having autism, high pain threshold. Naturally strong. It's just part of autism, but unfortunately with said autism we start to fall apart quicker. The joints start to go, the knees start to hurt, the aches and pains start happening rather at 40, they start happening at 30. In the past 5 years, I'm saying I'm coming up 35 now, I have literally started falling apart. But anyway, it's a long story that I do not want to go into. But please, please, please go over this as many times as you want to recap what I've said. If you want me to clarify anything, leave a message in the comments. If you totally have any opinions or any of your own techniques that you've used in the work for you, if you are like me and can navigate quite successfully in the neurotypical thinker world, please, 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 please tell us, because it will help and benefit. Even if it's a small, even if you don't think it's significant, any little bit of information, any little bit of help that you can give to other people who are not as fortunate to have figured this out yet, please, by all means, leave it in the comments. DM me on Twitter, X King's Fallen. Seriously, just hit me up. You know what I mean? Honestly, I'll leave my details in the description. I'll leave a link to one of these books in the description as well. Okay. Now, if you want me to make a second part going into more detail about any certain parts of this, leave me a comment or send me a DM to say what would you like me to focus more in depth on. I've just given you a quick rundown of what I do daily to interact with other members of society, other members of my social group even. And when I actually told my friend, my best friend, I'm not going to say his name, but my best friend, he is my brother from another mother. We class ourselves as actual family, as in, just because the fact we don't share the same genetic code or similar DNA does not mean we're not family, and it does not mean he's not my brother. Right? I trust him more than I trust the actual biological members of my immediate family, like my brothers, sister. You know, just not interested. Right? So, as I was saying, when I first let the drop of the guys with him, when he saw me for the first time relaxed, he was utterly shocked in the difference in me. But even then, it's really hard to drop the guys, because once you drop it, it's really, really hard to put it back up again. And I mean, it sounds so surreal, but it is. Once you start telling people that I don't understand what you mean there, instead of faking them the laugh along with their joke, even though you don't get why their joke is funny. No, you understand the words that they've used completely, and you can give them a dictionary definition of what each word means in the thesaurus definition of the way the word works in the sentence, and you can even argue the semantics of each word with the person, but you still don't get why that is funny. It's probably something, and it's quite true what they said, but why are other people laughing? But instead of going, why is that funny, you go, oh, yeah, and you agree along with. That is faking it till you make it, right? And that is kind of what I do. I fake opinions based on deductions, but of looking at people's faces and their body language, and even down to the more basic elements of using their own pulse, right, to diagnose whether they're actually relaxed about meeting me or whether they're slightly nervous or they don't want to meet me. It's one of those ones. Now, over the phone, this is the most difficult thing to engage because you get only vocal pattern to go with. So I'll leave vocal patterns over the phone for another video if you want me to do such thing, and I will work out a way to word it so that you're in how to explain each point of it. And if you want me to go over anything more I've discussed or said about today, please by all means leave a comment. Anyway, that's near enough 40 minutes, so that'll do me. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. To my new subscribers, thank you very much. Your subscription is really appreciated. It's nice to know that somebody wants to hear me fucking ramble. I said, if you like this video, hit like. If you want to share this video, get more opinions, by all means do so. By all means again comment, and please do so subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for watching. My name is Alexander Kingsfallen, and I'll catch you in the next one.